Come one, come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come one, come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Give praises to Jehovah, from whom all blessing and knowledge will flow. Blessing and knowledge will flow. The Village Talk Show, dedicating to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life, helping each one of us in realizing our dream at any age, any point, starting from today, day. Success. Come one, come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come one, come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Success is not spoken, it is done. Success is done. Come on now. The Village Talk Show. Talk Show. The Village Talk Show.
I like verse 1 and 2. I'm going to read both. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the final show of 2022. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. I am Roderick Daly, your host. And so we'll be joining soon by our co-hostess, Dr. Joanne Bryant, and our co-host, the great John Sampson. All right. Don't mind me. I'm not under the weather. I'm actually over the weather. So, but today, it's one of those days. So don't mind me at all. Hey, Dr. Brian, how you doing?
Hello. Good evening, everyone.
You're in your good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. You need to, ladies and gentlemen, if you need Dr. Bryant to be a little bit more spunky when she speaks, please tell her, so she doesn't think it's me. It's all of you telling me that she needs to be more spunky. But hello, everyone. Hello, Dr. Bryant. How you doing?
Hola, everybody. Hola. It's the end of the year. I'm excited. What? Bring it.
Look at you. You can tell me what you're going to say. You're going to bring on any crap that I'm going to put out there, right? So it's really exciting. Today, first and foremost, hello, everyone. Thank you for watching, sharing, viewing the Village Radio Talk Show, where we're dedicated to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education, helping each one of us in realizing our dreams at any point, at any age, starting from today. Very excited, very, very excited to be here and to chill and to relax with everyone. Make sure I didn't send out the notification today, so I'm going to do that now. Everybody, please do come out, enjoy yourself. We're joined by the great John L. Sampson. John, what's the L for?
Llewellyn.
Is it really Llewellyn?
Yes.
I told you that. You did tell me that. I told them my family is Llewellyn. Right? I did tell him that. I did know that. So, hello, John.
Good evening.
Say hello to the people, John.
Peace and blessings to the villagers.
Can anybody hear him? I didn't hear him. Can you hear him?
Peace and blessings to the villagers.
Yeah, but
Can you hear him, Joanne?
Closer.
Bring the mic closer.
Peace and blessings.
Yeah.
Still no? Talk to us, because I can't hear him.
Go ahead. Go again, John.
Peace and blessings to the villagers.
Oh yeah, he's there.
Including you, Dr. Brian. Peace and blessings. Hey, I just want to stop for a moment and just recognize a good friend of mine who passed away just recently, and I didn't realize that until I was on running through Facebook, and Chef Carl Redding. He had Amy Roofs up in Harlem.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, good brother, man. Good brother. Very involved with National Action Network and Reverend Sharpton. And his struggles with dealing with diabetes, having being an amputee, being also a veteran, and the brother was just so powerful, man. And I'm just devastated by hearing his death. And he was supposed to come back up to New York and put a restaurant together. So I just want to send condolences to his family.
Yes,
you remember Carl Redding?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I went to.
Too loud,
yeah, I just realized that. Like something, it feels like I just hit something and made it extremely loud for a moment. So it's beyond. Yeah, Amy Ruth. If you have never eaten there,
excellent food.
Excellent. American
chicken and waffles.
Southern. What would we say? Southern American.
Southern cuisine.
Southern cuisine.
The pies and the cakes were phenomenal.
You know.
It was on 116th Street up in Harlem.
Right, and I ate there a few times. Well, enjoy the food. While we at it, I just want to. I don't know if you know him personally. I know I did. No, not him. Pele.
Oh, Pele. Yeah, definitely.
Pele went down today, Thursday.
He didn't go down. He transitioned.
Yes, he transitioned. Yes, this is a better word. He transitioned today at age 82. One of my wife's favorite players. And I didn't really watch football that much growing up, John.
It's called soccer.
No, I don't know. It's football.
Soccer.
Listen, not because I'm American means I'm going to conform to everything American.
Doc, what is it called, Doc? Soccer or?
It's called soccer, but in the West Indies, it's called football.
See, that's the problem I'm having. I'm having a problem. That's the political. Dr. Bryant, you're hanging out with John L. Sampson and Roger Daly a little too much because you're political in your answer. It's football, and it's football, soccer. And it's American football, right? Soccer. Football and American football.
No, it's not American football because American football is the one that you watch with the Giants and the Jets and everything else.
So you have football.
The West Indies football is considered soccer.
No, for the rest of the world,
it's not American football.
Listen to what I'm saying. Hear me out. I'm saying American football is what John is calling football, right? Football is what the rest of the world call football. So for me, I tell my sons, American football is the one with the oblong-shaped ball that you hit the hell out of people with, throw the ball, people catch it. The only time football is involved, there are only 2 times foot is part of football. When you punt and when you kick. Well, 3. Punt, kick, and extra point. For the rest of the game, it's hands and body tackle. Matter of they call it tackle. What are you saying?
I'm moving right along.
Okay, all right. I thought so. So go tell the world. You talk most like when you have 10 billion people in the world and 9.7, right? 97% of the people have no idea what you're talking about when you say football and it's not soccer. They have no idea what you're talking about. So therefore, American football and football. That's my argument, and I'm holding to it.
Okay.
No, John. Oh, look, my thing just pulled up. Happy birthday tomorrow to Ruth Broughton. That's Ambassador Nick Perry's sister-in-law. It just pulled up on my computer. So happy birthday to you when it comes up. Any birthday wishes before we start? Do you have any birthday wishes? No, wishing happy early birthday to my domino buddy, Chadwick. Happy birthday to Chanel, my nurse. Her birthday was on Christmas. I would hate to have, and congratulations to Lydia and Stephen getting married on Christmas Day.
All
Yeah,
right. Congrats.
That's a woman's thing. Like I said
All
before,
right.
I'm
You
going to
did
stick to
it
it. It's a
on
woman who wants to have
Day.
birthdays and holidays as
Right.
double as birthday presents because they want to get. No,
What
no,
about
no,
all
get
those
out of
people
here.
that's gonna do it on the first, the 31st going into the first?
Well, the 31st going to the
Ah,
first.
come on. It's a
Though I wouldn't do it personally, I would understand that better than Christmas. Because as we were talking about, is when you do it on one of those days, it's kind of like New Year's. It's like I'm starting afresh.
But it's the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing.
I'm gonna give a shout out to my auntie, my auntie who turned 94.
Bless up, bless up, bless up.
Yes, I know you were doing a celebration of her birth.
Yeah, we did.
Let me tell
It
you,
was
man.
awesome. Family and friends got together and we just celebrated her life.
Nice,
So
nice.
grateful. Now she has taken she's in charge. My grandma went down at 98. My aunt is here. She's holding the fort, and I'm excited to see who can transition.
Is it your aunt or your great aunt?
Great aunt.
Great aunt. Okay.
But we don't call it great aunt. We call auntie. That's it.
No. What you call her is one thing. What her official bloodline
Her
is.
title. Yeah. She's my grandmother, one of the youngest sisters.
How many siblings did your grandmother have?
I think 18. Between 18 and 20 something. Yeah.
No TV?
Huh?
No TV?
I don't know. There's only two of them left, and my uncle, which you met.
Wait, hold on.
And, my aunt.
What did John say? What did Delroy say? Football is a ball game that played with foot. Handball is a ball game that played with hands.
Delroy, sit on the sideline.
Right.
Man.
Now let's hear you guys talk about driving to the parkway and parking on the. Yes, John. And what the hell is a beltway? Like you're driving on the beltway, right? What is that? Is it a place where you hold belts? I mean, seriously, I hear you. John, I gotta tell you, listen. Don, you made me forget. Hello, Daniel, how you doing? Bible verse for today. I like it because it's going to be the subject of our topic moving into the new year. You want to read that, John? Can you see that? Or is that
Yes, see it.
Yes, see it. Let me blow that up for you. All right, so there you
King
go.
James, John, what is it?
3rd John.
3rd John, King James Version. The elder unto the well-beloved Gias, who I love in the truth. Beloved, I wish all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth.
It's just something to bring up going into the new year, talking about your health, making sure you do.
You know what? I want to talk about
and
this.
You just spoke about that before you go.
I want to talk about this.
Before you go off into that, you just spoke about the young man that died, Amy Root, that died, and we're talking about diabetes and how it can overly affect the human being. And so the scripture, and it's around our guest going to be later on today.
Who's our guest today?
John Williams.
Williams.
We talk about.
Talk about what? What got Mr. Williams talking about?
We'll talk about your Guyanese Bana talking about good health. And
he didn't bring no pepper pot and bread, so I don't know why he did.
He got to go, right? You need to go back and get the pepper pot and bread. You were saying something. You were talking about.
You know what? Everybody, new beginnings, new year. Everybody's always this new year. We got to do new things. You know what makes it going? What's so exciting going from one year into the next year? If you want to continuously, do the same and then wind up next year saying, hopefully I'll do better, in the following. It's always, we always knew, we think that just because it's a new year, it's a new beginning, but if we continue to do the same thing, my whole point is this. Villagers, we need to take life one day at a time. Just because there's a new year does not mean that it's going to be miraculous miraculously things are going to change. If you're going to change is something that is a constant, but it happens over a period of time. So we just have to take it one day at a time, irrespective of if it's a new year. You need to take it one day at a time. Our problem is we believe in this existential living, live for today attitude. No, we need to live life one day at a time, irrespective of whether we're going into a new year. What you need to be concerned about is making sure you live life the fullest every single day.
Yeah, I agree and disagree. Right? I agree and disagree. I agree that it's important to do all of that, but I also think that you need to set goals at the beginning of the year that you're going to work towards. Right? You're not going to accomplish everything, and sometimes you are going to deviate from um, from those things based upon what I will say life happens, right? So for me, for this year, for example, the upcoming year, one, I don't have any control of one, but to work through that, to hope that I'm still above ground, right? So that's pray for health, prosperity, all those things. But I have three organizations that I am working on, including the radio show, right? So we have the radio show, the social club for adults, and the World Domino Federation. My goal this year is to not only bring those things off the ground. Well, the community board is not off the ground. The community board is already above ground, right? So I just have to try to maintain and make it better, right? So I leave a legacy or a mark, whatever expression you want to we want to put, right? So I want to make sure that happens. And then when you look at the Domino Club, I want to spread Domino worldwide. So I want to make that goal to do that.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And other things. But I think it's like the whole concept of failure to plan is a plan to fail. So what am I going to do about that? So I think it's, like you're saying, you're right. What do you think, Dr. Brown? She's not there. So, oh, she is there. Oh, she put us on, she'll show us a beautiful space, right? So we want to be like Dr. Brian too, to be able to have a space like that to be entitled to.
Well, you know what? Also, just if we could, that's one point. Another point that I have is this Santos thing.
Yeah,
that's this Santos who won the race out in Long Island and Queens. This guy embellished his resume.
Dude.
What is
Don't say embellish.
realistic?
Say lie. Because that's what it is. You Republicans put the word embellish to make it not look bad.
Well,
he lied.
Yeah, he lied.
Right?
For him to for people to trust in him. But my biggest thing is this is the Democrats' problem. They didn't do their homework. They didn't find this out.
John. Here's a better question I have for you. Here's a better question.
Mm-hmm.
The better question is,
what's the better question, Mr. Daly?
I don't hear the Republicans.
Oh, hell no.
In uproar about this. They said they need an explanation.
If this was a Democrat, Lord.
All the Democrats would be like, we need a removal and a resignation.
But that's the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Republicans will give you a shot, explain yourself. Democrats remove.
Yep.
That's why
I don't need an explanation.
Al Franken was the best example.
Yeah, Simone, he lied. We agree that he lied. But we also are looking at what John is saying, what I'm saying, which is, why are we not asking? Why is the Republican not asking for recognition. Who did we lose? We lost Andrew Cuomo,
Mm-hmm.
Al Franken,
Mm-hmm.
right? Two prominent figures and important figures in the Democratic Party. Andrew Cuomo could have been the next president of the United States,
I say that too.
right? And without proof, shut him down. This guy, 34 years old. I mean, he didn't even just lie. He said he went to NYU, he went to Baruch, he worked at Goldman Sachs, he worked at Citigroup, right? He had this many millions.
His parents were Jews. He said, you know, he
He
came.
said that. I didn't know he said that part.
He did, and now a lot of Jewish people are very upset because he said his family went through the Holocaust.
Did he
Holocaust.
really say that?
Yes, he did. Yes, he
Get
did.
out.
He took
Tell
it
me
off.
that.
Right? Yeah.
So wait, and by the way, the community that he's going to represent are Jews. A lot of Jews.
So he lied. In addition, a lot of Democrats crossed over to go and vote for him. So,
Wow.
yeah, so they're upset because some of the head of some different Democrat parties were like, hey, let's cross over, let's support. They had a whole massive group, and now they feel duped. They should feel duped because the thing is, in an effort to get rid of their own party line, instead of working together with some of their partners, instead they cross over. They didn't give feedback or whatever, and to remove, in a rush to remove and put Republican in power, you don't do your research, you don't do your background, and guess what? You got duped. You got a Trump. You know, you got Trump. There you go. You got Trump. Yes, you really want a, yeah, I'm with you. So what are they going to do? Do you think his action was a crime? Yes, I do, because the thing is, the money that's popping out of 2020, he only made 55,000. All of a sudden he's at millions of dollars. They're trying to follow the money trail right now. So,
You know, Simone made a point here, Dr. Brian. A man said he could shoot people and have been accused of rape and was best friends with child molester and was still elected president.
that's
And he had the number one votes for Republican in the history of the party. And in order for Joe Biden to beat him, he had to have the number one vote ever in the Democratic Party. So you're absolutely correct, right? You're absolutely correct. So we got to think about that, right? We got to think about what is going on, and personally. But the question becomes, what is the crime that he's committed?
money. They're trying to follow the money.
No. I'm talking about in terms of election. I get that you need to follow
John,
where he
can
gets
you
his
help
money
us
from.
with that one? John.
John, ladies and gentlemen, we have to ask John what was he doing earlier today, because he seems like John, what were you doing, man? You seem like you're partying, man.
Working with nobody.
Working, you seem like they're working you too hard, man. You're falling asleep.
Yeah.
You need to wake up.
Rest.
So the question is, what grounds does
They're
an
investigating him.
individual have politically to force him to resign? Is there any? Unless they bring legal action against him, because he lied. So he got elected under fraudulent claim. Is that illegal? And if so, what can be done about it? John,
Yeah.
do you have an answer or no?
I have no answer.
Because I was thinking that that people didn't have the retort to be able to do that at all, and because he already said that he's doing his term.
And on Tuesday, he's supposed to be voted in. Tuesday, right?
That's next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, January 3rd.
Mm-hmm. So what happened? Because now there's a federal investigation, and there is, I guess overall, the ethics department didn't get involved yet, but they are looking into where did he get the money from. Um, he lied about his organization. He lied about everything, and this organization, his company, is supposed to be the $1 million company. So what do you do for that before he gets sworn in?
I don't think there's anything can be done because unless he puts something in writing, am I correct, John? Like he put something
Unless he lied on his
Financial disclosure.
financial disclosure.
He did.
Hmm.
He
so
did
if he
lie.
lied on his financial disclosure, how is that?
Because that's a crime, and you read at the end of your financial disclosure, that's your, yeah, it's a crime.
So it's a crime, even though let's say he filed all of the right documents. Let's say he lied to the people about his financial statement, but
Mm-hmm.
when he did things pen to paper, filed his taxes, IRS, everything is legit.
Mhm.
But he just lied because people didn't do a background check to ensure that he was telling the truth, right?
Now,
So
how did
that's the
he get?
difference. So that's what I'm asking. Like, if he told the truth where he needed to tell the truth,
Mhm.
but he told you a lie,
Mhm.
and you didn't do a background check,
Yep.
is that illegal?
Now, what about, every dollar counts and every money count. They're looking into some of the what is that? You know how you have certain fundraisers. He had
Mhm.
some of the fundraisers under a fake name with a Jewish name attached to it. So
Mhm.
they're starting to uncover that some of his fundraisers were fraudulent, and
What do you mean by fraudulent?
it was
Like they didn't happen, or what?
it was supposed to be for a Jewish individual, and come and find out he wasn't. He used a fake name. Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Oh,
he put a wrong name down
uh-huh.
and say that. So that's illegal. That is criminal. You can't. So in other words, I'm doing a fundraiser for
Hmm.
Roger Daly, and
Hmm.
I wrote that John Sampson is the one writing this
Hmm.
check. That's illegal. That's
Hmm.
actually that's fraud. That's what's that word? Campaign finance issue. I think it's like it's not investment, right? It's no, it's campaign fraud. It's fraud.
And then how does he contribute to other um his Republican Party? He was one of the top contributors to different. So they're trying to follow the money trail right now. The money trail on how he actually was able to get from 55,000. I want to know how he did it. You go
Okay,
from
a couple of people.
$50,000 to several $1 million. I want to know. I want to take notes. I
So
think he was hanging out with Trump. What do you think?
let's read a couple of the comments and then we get back to the conversation about Santos. One, Simone. Hey, Simone, how you doing? She wrote, "Do you want? Do you think it's? Do you, what is this? Can you guys just pull up? Do you think his action was a crime? We agreed that yes. However, what does it look like?" Simone wrote, "A man said he could shoot." Yeah, I said
Yeah.
that one.
Hmm.
Patrick said it was a fraud fully.
Hmm.
I agree with that. How did he loan himself about? How did he loan his campaign $700,000?
Hmm.
So from every understanding that I have, right, and every thing that I'm looking up, reading, is that he was backlogged in his rent. Right, he owed 13,000, 17,000, but now he could loan his campaign um, 700,000. Mm-hmm. And the court documents showed that he filed that he was unable to pay this payment. Where did he get this money from? And why wasn't the court holding on to his money? Well, things like that. So I'm concerned about that. It's funny because I'm thinking about putting a lien on something. I think I said that earlier. So far, he's scheduled to be sworn in, unless something happens by 9. The man lied all over. We agree. Ruby wrote criminals in politics again. I'm going to disagree with Ruby's statement because you have criminals all over. right? Jennifer, happy holidays to you and family as well, Jennifer.
Joseph,
Yeah.
I want my bacon salt fish.
Where was the opposition's research? That's what John was saying, so we agree with that. They
Oh,
didn't do a lot. They didn't do a lot of fact finding.
that's true.
So,
I
you know,
I want to give a quick shout out to the producer that made the sound for the show, Point Blanks. Thank you so much. Bless up. Sorry.
that's all right. That's all right. So, you know, sometimes it's important to do things you remember because then you might forget by the end
So,
of the
no,
show.
no, no, because I harassed him and he
No,
spent.
no, no. I'm saying that it's good that it's
Yeah.
okay to interrupt and say that because sometimes by the end of the show you might forget to give the shout out and you don't want to do that.
He's
So,
listening, and I know today I knocked him up like, hey, you know what? We got to do some new music together. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you in advance for spending that quick couple hours to just hatch it out. Thank you, and we're ready to do it again.
so yeah, going back to the previous comment, what is this? If this was a black man, he would be crucified in the
That's
news.
true. That is true.
Yes. You know what I didn't like, John?
What?
I didn't like the post interview of him. They didn't chastise him.
Hmm.
They talked about it because they're the one. He went to the post with the interview, but they didn't chastise him.
Fox did. Fox did. They were not playing with him.
Right. I didn't see Fox on it, but the
Chastise
post.
who?
Right.
Who
So
they supposed to chastise?
no, Santos.
Mhm.
They didn't chastise him. They printed the news, but when I say chastise and admonish, if it was a Democrat, it would be like, how dare we want his head, right? They would find a way to make the word Santos into no saint,
Mm.
right? No saint us or something in the middle,
Hmm.
right? To say that he needs to resign.
Mhm.
Hmm.
No saint, whatever it is that they're gonna put in there.
Right.
They talked about, oh, he embellished, he did this, he did
But who's
that. When they
Newspaper.
did the fact finding, they brought it up. They exposed it.
Right. Expose Santos for who he is.
Right. They exposed him for who he is, but they didn't chastise him for who he is.
Mm.
Right?
Correct.
So what is it that, hey Jennifer, hey Dr. Hunter, Dr. Hunter, how you doing? Congratulations, Dr. Hunter, on becoming a doctor. Appreciate that. You know, always love, you know, bring up the sociology stuff, bring us on up there so we know what's going on. So that to me is a major major issue, right? So I feel that they really need to we need to do a better job. The Democrats are calling for his head. It means nothing.
Right. Correct.
But some of the Republicans are actually
Okay, but Doc, remember, the Republican we think that Kajani Jackson Brown would be a great.
But no.
Hold on. Listen, all I'm saying, Kajani Jackson Brown
Mm-hmm.
would be a great jurist.
Right.
We need to have her on the court because she's overqualified, and she's this and she's that.
Mm-hmm.
When the vote came, I think two Republicans.
No, it was four.
It was two. It was the guy from Utah and the woman from
Georgia.
no, not the woman from Georgia. They didn't vote for her. Georgia didn't vote for her. Because the Republican from Georgia didn't vote. No, and by the way, there were two Democrats because Warnock was in office. So it was 50-50, and they took the two other, or was it three? It might have been three, right? It might have been three that voted for her to be Supreme Court judge to make it bipartisan. Lindsey Graham,
Right.
who was touting her,
Yes.
right? How great she was.
He didn't vote for
Even
her.
the turncoat, Tim
Mm.
Scott, right? Didn't even vote for her. As a black man, didn't even vote for a black woman who was, okay, I don't want to make it sound black on black, but she was highly qualified.
But Roger,
And they went along party line. So what they were saying about George Santos,
Yeah.
in my mind, What they're saying about George Santos doesn't matter.
Loyalty. Republicans are more loyal to their people than the Democrats. The inclination of opposition for Democrats, they will run and hide all the time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, bottom line is they
He's
can talk
coming-
whatever we want to talk.
He's actually going to become what we voted him in for. I didn't vote for him, but you know, they voted him in, and that's c'est la vie, right?
All right. So we need to figure that out, right? We need to figure that out. What can we do? Well, how can we make it illegal for people to blatant? It's not like
It's
an oversight in my mind.
it's lies,
Right?
lies,
It's not an oversight because
lies.
you lied about your college, you lied about your job, you lied about your income, you
Family.
lied about where you live. Although it's technically not a crime because you only have to live in the state at the point of election.
But Roger, the whole point is the Democrats failed to use all the resources to find this information out. They waited until not the 11th hour. They waited till the election was over
The
to bring
25th hour.
something.
The
like
day is
this
over the
occurred.
next
I
day.
mean, come on.
But what up?
Come
You know
on.
what? I blame both because also he represents the Republican Party, so it is
The
a
Republicans are not going
lie.
to.
The Republicans are not a party of ethics. Period! Exclamation point. They don't believe in that.
Okay.
They don't believe in it.
The Republicans are not. If he's going to win that race, right? Unless they don't want him in office.
Mhm.
If he's going to win and he's going to caucus with the Republican Party to help me get the majority, why would I vote? Why would I want to get you to lose?
Okay.
Think about that for a second. Right? I want you in the party. You're going to win,
Right.
and I need that seat.
Right.
I'm going to put something out there
Mhm.
that's going to make you lose so I can lose majority. You think Kevin McCarthy doesn't want him? They might ostracize him when they get there. He might not get a committee. He might get a terrible office. They might treat him like crap.
Mm-hmm.
However, you help us to get the majority.
Mm-hmm. That's their goal. That's their goal.
That's
You
exactly
know
what it is.
You know what I want to also you brought up, Roderick, that if Cuomo was still in office, they were pushing for president for him when he came up in the beginning during COVID. I would say that someone didn't take notes based on his prior experience and his prior leadership on Buffalo, because that was a disaster. How many people died unnecessarily? You could say you're prepared, but you're not. And the fact that now other states have to contribute to come and help dig up, that's horrible. A lot of people dropped the bomb. They
You mean
dropped
drop the ball, not the bomb.
it is a bomb. What happened is a complete disaster. It feels like a bomb was let out for people to actually a young 23-year-old nurse on her way home to die in her car, call for rescue and help, and end up dying there. So many people died senselessly. If they had put or notified people, hey, this is we're gonna shut down the road, just safety just for safety, we're gonna shut it down.
Right.
Ahead of time, not after.
Mm-hmm.
So here it is. So many people got frozen to death, died with heart attacks, got stuck in cars, couldn't be rescued. They're still searching for bodies.
Wow.
So now the fact that, hey, Bumble, same thing you're right. Thank you, Simone. The fact that, hey, New York State couldn't collaborate with all the different Nassau, New York City, and everybody else, and you have to go to Pennsylvania or Jersey or Connecticut to get help, that's a shame. That doesn't look good on our end. I'm sorry. We're usually helping people out, but it is horrible. And Buffalo, again, get the end of the stick. And who lives in Buffalo? majority black.
Mhm.
So this is, a disaster. I blame the mayor. I blame the governor. I'm sorry. I'm not going to give her credit for it. Yes, it's upstate, it's Erie County, but you know what? People died, and some of the people still no heat, nothing at home. Come on. I know last week was a disaster with the climate, but she said they were ready. They were not ready. They were not prepared. And I think Andrew Cuomo would have been more prepared than she is. I'm sorry. Point blank. So that's my two take. What are your thoughts?
Um, I I don't know. I think all of those are good points, right? I think, but on the flip side of that,
Mm-hmm.
you can't necessarily prepare for a catastrophe. Not all. I mean, some you can, right? You can't necessarily prepare for catastrophe. However, it's what the aftermath is and how you deal with the catastrophe that makes you a good or bad leader, right? So, when Hurricane, what's that one that was in New Orleans, John, many years ago?
Katrina.
Katrina. Bush did a horrible job
Mm-hmm.
of post Katrina cleanup or whatever you want to call it, right? Trump did a bad job with Puerto Rico because he didn't want to support Puerto Rico with the incident a few years ago because like Puerto Rico doesn't support him,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
However, Barack Obama did a good job with Sandy Hook,
Okay.
right? He did a good job, right? He couldn't stop the violence, but he did a good job of rushing to the aid of the family. I think whoever was in Parkland did a good job too, whatever Parkland was. I don't remember who the president was, but they addressed the issue immediately.
Mm-hmm.
The governor of Texas, although I don't like him, did a good job, I felt, of addressing the issue in what's that town there that with the killing of the kids? I can't remember the name of the town where the 21 kids were killed. He did a good job of addressing, and the state of Texas did a very swift job of the chief is terminated, the people terminated, and the families
Right.
were looked at. Right? So, what do you do in the aftermath to create different situations? So, I can't stop a hurricane, I can't stop a tsunami. It's going to happen. Natural disasters are going to happen. But how do you react to it to save more lives?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's important. And I don't know what the assessment is. And John, maybe you could chime in on that of Kathy Vogel's
Oh,
work.
I love this. Thank you, Eddie, for saying this. Oh my
What
goodness.
did Eddie say?
Hold on. I gotta. Cuomo would have been on the air throughout 24/7, giving
Yes.
instruction and disseminating information. Yes, yes,
So
yes.
that's what you're talking about, Dr. Brown.
Exactly. I think she was like, before the blizzard, she was like, hey, we're ready. But you weren't ready because you didn't have the trucks ready. You weren't ready because you didn't have contractors or people to dig out in advance. If you're watching how the weather's changing and shifting and different places getting pummeled with snow and storms and things like that, it's coming our way. What did you put in place? You can't just say it by mouth and not put action in place.
So is it really her fault or the people who work for her?
I blame all of them. I said it already.
Again, listen to
I
my
blame
question.
her.
Listen to
I
my
blame
question
the
I'm
mayor.
asking. John, same question I'm asking you. Is it her fault or the people who are working for her?
It's under her leadership.
No. I could have. I appoint you, Dr. Bryant,
Mm-hmm.
right? I appoint you, Dr. Bryant, to do something.
Right.
That's your expertise. You're an education expert, right? So I appoint you head of my education corps,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's your resume says Santos gave a resume that says he's very qualified to be the congressman.
Mm-hmm.
It turned out that he lied.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the people's fault for voting him in? Do you blame the people?
No.
Absolutely.
Really?
Why are you gonna blame the people, Dr. Bryant?
I blame the people that they voted him in. Did they
So
just
you think people are going to be able to go back and say research that is correct? That's what you're thinking.
absolutely? Because
The
guess
man presented something that he can do. So Kathy Hochul,
a new person altogether is saying, "Hey, I did this and I did that and I did this and I did that." Blah, 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 blah.
no one researches, and you have never in your life, and I could say that without even thinking about it,
Uh-huh.
researched the background to the T of anybody I've ever voted for.
Yeah.
You
Never.
never did it?
No, I never said I don't research somebody. I never said I don't look them up.
Mm,
I said I've never to the T
okay.
researched information from any. So I'm a Democrat. I
Okay.
voted for Barack Obama.
Okay.
I voted for Chuck Schumer. I'm just to put people up there that's high up on the totem pole.
Mm-hmm.
I voted for John Sampson,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Parker, Yvette Clark. Who else running? I mean, Akeem Jeffries' district, right? Ed Towns, Akeem Jeffries,
Right.
right? Andrew Cuomo,
Mm-hmm.
okay, Letitia James.
Mhm.
I've never in my life, ever researched them to the T. And I've been involved directly in politics.
But they
since,
have wait. They have history, right?
no. I voted for new candidates,
Oh.
incumbents,
Mm.
right? Look, I voted for Kendall Stewart. I voted for him in 2003,
Mhm.
2005.
Mhm.
I didn't vote for him for 2009 because I was running for office, right? And I ended up endorsing Jumaane Williams and Sam Tate. Okay?
Mhm.
I did not review Kendall Stewart's background.
No.
I did not.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, saying that you're gonna, the reason why I'm bringing it back to the conversation, you can't just blame Kathy Hochul.
Wait.
Maybe she's not hands-on, and that's where her fault comes in.
Right.
There's and so
Yes,
here
Eddie, that is true. That is true. Eddie wrote that the buck stops at, and that's where I agree. Let's not skirt the issue. No pun intended, right?
Mm-hmm. So
Right.
now, for example,
And Simone just wrote me neither,
he-
right?
he-
And I no one
here's the
expected
thing.
to be so dear and bold.
So
Well,
we
yeah,
have a couple of new people who actually went into office this year. Brian Cunningham and also Monique, right?
mhm.
But they have history in doing the work.
Yeah, but
That-
we're not talking about the history. though.
I know. But the thing is, you also follow the pattern. You understand? You
Yeah,
also
but that doesn't
follow
that
the
doesn't
pattern,
but that doesn't tell us about.
the
Okay,
work that they've done.
okay. Let me give you another example. Pastor Kevin O. Smith in Jamaica, right?
I
The
don't know.
cult guy. He's the one that had people killed each other. I think earlier this year, and then he ended up dying in a weird car accident,
Mm.
right?
Right.
He started a church.
Mhm.
People followed. He tell people they have to pay their offering while they have a big house. He was deported from his country.
Right.
Was it Canada or something like that for rape?
Okay,
Right.
did people follow that before? Did they know that?
But that's the point that I'm making. People joined the church, did whatever they needed to do, right? And it ended up that he was not just we all have past, right? And I'm not saying because you've done something would not make you able to lead a congregation.
Mm-hmm.
But what he did, and then it didn't set a red flag to people as he continued some of these, what do you call these, degenerative, disgusting ways of the church, where it's like you make a mockery of religion, and people didn't follow that because they didn't care. So sometimes you can't blame what people are doing and how they follow along. But I do agree with Eddie. The buck stops with the governor, really. So I believe that they screwed up, heads should roll. That's where I think, like, show that you are compassionate about what is happening to those people. I just read something where somebody dug off somebody and saved their lives out there in Buffalo. I didn't even know it was 30 inches of snow and below zero,
Feet.
30 feet of snow.
30 feet of snow.
You know, that's crazy. You
Mm.
know, so
Unbelievable.
yeah, the cult pastor Simone, absolutely. Simone, did you take care of that thing I told you to take care of? Just tell me yes or no. Right? I didn't get. I've been so busy I didn't get a chance to do what I had to do. Um, right? But those are real issue. We were talking about Pele earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
So very excited.
Mhm.
Very sad, but also very excited about the history that he has put into place for the world of soccer. We initially talked about it at the program.
Yeah. Brazilian soccer legend Pele dies at 82. The Brazilian legend, who famously coined the popular term "the beautiful game," wooed fans with his dazzling style of play during and led his native country to 3 World Cups. Big up, Pele! Big up!
I was watching a little film, John,
Mhm.
and they were showing some of the moves that he was doing back in. Like he started out. He's 82, so he was born 1938, right? And that's 84, right? So that means he born 1940. So in 1959, during the World Cup, the first time he played the World Cup at 17 or 58, right? When he played the World Cup, they were showing like some of the dazzling moves that he was doing, the bicycle kick and we'll call it in Jamaica, we call it salad. What do you call it in Ghana? When you put this ball through somebody's leg, and what do you call it? Like kick out what do you call it in Haiti, Joe? Dr. Mike.
Who knows?
You're muted. When you play football and you do the kick and go right through the
Upright.
the
Goalpost.
no. I'm talking about when you're somebody's coming up to play defense on you and you're dribbling the ball and then you go between their two legs with the ball, just salad. In Jamaica we call it salad. I don't know what you call it.
Leroy wrote nutmeg.
Nutmeg. Thank you, Leroy. Yeah, he was wicked. He had the most goals, and I think he still has the most goals in history. First man to have a hat trick in the first man to have a hat trick in the World Cup.
But you know what? He also soccer or football, like people call it, is not only for the game to get people riled up, but it also spoke on political ways as well. So he became more than just a soccer player, but he became an ambassador for stopping the war and stopping certain things, opposing Nigeria in certain civil war and agreeing to ceasefire in 1967. So his presence, because of his presence internationally, he's able to make power moves that way. So when you become a sport leader, it's more than just playing sports, but it's also making decisions that affect your country. So that's definitely a key leader, and not only being an ambassador for his country, but also for the world. And he played in New York for a little bit too. Don't forget. Don't forget.
Yeah, there's a soccer league that was created right here in local Brooklyn for Pele as well. It's really exciting. I'm so excited about what he has done in terms of history. You know, and he enjoyed it. He played fun.
So there's nothing to do.
But definitely.
So we just need to work on that. So what is this here? So we have a Jamaican-born first Black female. I just got this now on one of my other groups. Her name is Lorna Maylock, and she became the first Black woman commanding as a 2-star general in the U.S. Marine Corps. Brigadier General Ruth Maylock was nominated for promotion to Major General earlier this month by U.S. President Joe Biden. And so Thursday, 2 Thursdays ago, Maylock, who was born in Kingston, she came to the United States in 1985 at age 17. So it's in 1985 now. It's 37 years. She's 54 years old. Very nice. Very nice. Congratulations to her. Andre, run the social club commercial for me.
Andre, run it.
All right. So, and then when we come back, we're going to talk to John for a little bit and talk about some New Year's and some New Year's stuff.
My name is Teresa Abbott. I've been going to Global Police for 5 years. It's a nice place. The people and the staff and everybody in here is very nice. They help us with little things, and I'm glad to be here.
What kind of activities you do?
Dancing, sometimes I'm an art teacher. We do art, we do different things. We help each other out.
So, what's your name?
Lillian Williams.
Lillian Williams. So, Miss Williams, tell us a little bit about the social daycare. What is that like for you?
Well, I'm going to tell you, since I've been here, I've been treated like I was an angel. You know, they treat me nice. They have respect for us. You know, they take us out, and they make sure that, you know, we are taken care of good. They give us, you know. Miss Jean and Miss Robert. No, them two old buzzers. She got you on No, them two ladies there, with that Jean one and there Robert. and that one there, they
The
are
staff. You're
sweet.
talking about the staff.
and tough. They
So,
sweet as pie.
what would you say to somebody who is thinking about coming? What would you tell that person?
Come. They will
Invite them.
enjoy this. We would be glad to have them.
Invite them and let them see.
So, tell us about the activities. Tell me some of the activities you do during the
We
day.
do bingo, we do keno, we do arts and crafts. We do
What's the point?
like they make they have people come in, and she is one of them.
Right. So, tell us, what do you enjoy most about the site?
What I enjoy, the people, we like family. I really
There's
love
family here.
Okay.
Could get a better circus.
Thank you.
Foster and Farragut, right? And John, press the mute button. I think it's the third button from at the top.
Third button from the left coming across.
Yeah. You see the mute? No, over here somewhere. All right, just press that button right there.
This one?
I can't see, John. I can only hear. Let me see.
I think I did.
No, you pressed the wrong button. Give me. All right. So in studio. No, that didn't work. Try again. No. All right. This is where I need Andre in studio
to try to figure this out. All right, let's see. Maybe. Oh, here we go. Mute. Right.
I'm an urban public health specialist, community health educator. I am community advocate and activist and a chaplain.
So basically, why don't we just call you community?
Yeah, you know, that's just calling the village. How about that?
That's calling the village, man. You are just one part of the village.
You know? Thank you. I am, because it took you guys to raise me. I think he meant that literally because he's so short.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He's like another Bloomberg. Can you hear me now? I think we had just adjusted.
Miss Ali, can you hear us, Miss Ali? I hope you can hear us. Roger gets adjusted the mic.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I think Joanne said we were muted. All right. So, hey, Star Girl, welcome. Hazra never speaks here. She speaks to you. Tell Hazra to say hello up here, so we know. You know, tell her to say hi. So, John, tell us. One of the things that John, what do you call him? What is it, Big John? Yes. All right. So, Big John started out saying earlier. We were talking about health and the importance of health, right? And you're here to talk about health. The scripture verse today. 3 John chapter 1 verse 3 verses 1 and 2 talk about health, beloved. Let's go back and let me just review the scripture verse here. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in good health, and even as thy soul prospered. So, don't just think about the spiritual, but think about the physical. It's essential what the scripture is saying. Like, you can't, it's like they work together, right? They work. You need to have good health. You need to make sure that your soul is in a good place, your body, your mind. Physically, you're in a good place.
But mentally, you have to be mentally,
all of that, right? So mentally, all three components. When I always talk to people about the mind, the body, and the soul, right? When we talk about that all the time. Make sure that all three are in the same sphere,
in unison,
right? In unison, it's wonderful. So tell us a little bit why, before we get into the nitty-gritty, why is good health, you think, is so important, especially when you look at the Black community?
Well, as you said, the Black community is very spiritual. And when we say spiritual, we believe in creation. Mm-hmm. And, we understood that when God created us, he created us a whole person, mm-hmm. As a whole. And
John, pull your mic a little bit forward, please.
Is that good?
Yeah.
All right. And so the whole subject of salvation, because it says I'm a minister, so I have to come from that perspective. Mm-hmm. We understood that the condition that we are in is because of this simple word called sin. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about judgment, and that's judgment all over the place. It has to do with laws.
Right.
And so sin is the transgression of laws.
Mhm.
And so we understood that when man first sinned, he sinned in 3 areas.
Right.
Sinned first in the mind.
Mhm.
As you read the scriptures, it says that the serpent was gathered with a woman and tempted her. And when she saw that the fruit was good to make one wise, and she sinned in the mind. She took an egg, she sinned in the body. Gave to the husband, he did the same thing, mind, body, and they hid themselves. God is a spirit, you can't hide from God. So because of the subject of disobedience, they sinned in mind, body, and spirit. So the servant Lord said the subject of salvation, if you say it was not an afterthought that God saw. He saw that they were going to, so he provided a way out, and that way was the lamb that was slain for the foundation of the earth. And that lamb that was slain is Christ, right? Thou shalt call his name to, for he shall save. So he is the Savior. For him to save, he had to save in all 3 areas.
Mm-hmm.
Body, mind, and spirit, the whole person. So his ministry was threefold. So it's a tridimensional. So you this throughout the Bible, you will see these 3 areas, 3 everything. These, increase in wisdom, body and fairness.
Right.
And so we needed those 3 areas. So God's desire for us, he says, beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper. And that has to do with the mind. You can't prosper, mind and everything. And be in good health, evenly as your soul prosper. So it's not to say, well, the church is God's agency for the salvation of souls.
Right.
And so the concept of salvation has to deal with those 3 areas. Okay? And so Christ, the Lamb, came and he had to save in 3 areas. So if you remember the story, when he went to John to be baptized and he was in the Jordan, when he came up, that was his inauguration to ministry. The first place he went after he came out of the Jordan was into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. So the first Adam sinned in 3 areas. The second Adam, which is Christ, had to be tempted in 3 areas. And if you remember that, he tempted in 3 areas and he conquered in those 3 areas. And so our work is teaching us is to be perfect in those 3 areas. That's why God says, beloved, I wish above all things. And so our ministry as a church, as ministers, work for man and for people in saving in all 3 areas evenly. So we do not spend it on, 60% spiritual for, it says evenly as your soul prospereth. He wants you to prosper and be in good health.
All right. So when we talk about good health, right? I hear a lot of cockamamie story that everything to cure you is in the earth. Is that really a cockamamie story?
Cockamamie story? No. Everything is in the earth, obviously, because
we're made from dust.
We came from the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, for us to understand disease and death, we're talking about health. And health, everyone's going to die. But disease and death, for you to understand that, you have to understand life. And to understand life, we know how it came about. God formed us from the dust of the ground. And there are 3 elements responsible for life. 3 elements. Remember number 3, so very important.
What?
So when God formed us, we were not living, isn't that right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the first thing he did? Breathe into the nostril, and we became a living soul. So the first element is oxygen, right? And after we became a living soul, the first concern he's going to have, if you ever seen a calf born, a calf drops out, wobbles to his feet. Where's the first place it goes?
To get food.
To the breast. So that's the next thing. Behold, I've given you every herb bearing seed, and the fruit of the tree that beareth seed, for you shall be meat or food. So nutrients is the second element responsible for life and its maintenance. There's a third factor. this is important because what we are talking about here is important to establish this fact. Okay? So those two elements that are responsible for life happens to be the same two that are responsible for disease and death. The pathological process of how they become our enemy is important to know so that we can prevent or we can reverse the healing process. So our philosophy at New Creation, I didn't tell you that my organization is New Creation Ministries, which started out as New Creation Community Health Empowerment Inc. It was established in 1983. So community-based, health-based community organization working to bring about health in people's families' lives. And so our philosophy is, for one to return to optimum health, one has to reverse the path it took you to get where you're at, to get back to where you ought to have been. Does that make sense? In other words, if you're traveling somewhere you got lost, if you knew how you got there, you would know how to get back. And so this is what we are showing, how to reverse these conditions that are affecting us so eminently today. And I want to talk mostly today, with the short time that we have, about diabetes. Because this is a passion that I have. Diabetes. My grandmother died from it. My mother died. She had very high blood pressure. She got blind. She had an aneurysm. She got into a coma, never came out and died. My son developed it at 11 years old. My sister and I were pre-diagnosed, but because of my lifestyle, I kept it at bay for some years until I run for city council. And I was there in the eating and drinking, whatever it is. I put on a 6-month belly, and boom, it hit me. Dr. Banji said, John, you got to look at emergency room. I went to Kings County, emergency room to test me. My sugar was 574. So I was running around with this high level of sugar, getting drowsy, all the symptoms and everything. My hemoglobin A1C was 12.8. So they slapped some insulin, brought it down to 3 something, sent me home. When the next day, put me on insulin, glipizide, metformin, blood pressure pills, cholesterol pills, all kind of stuff. But I basically, because I knew how I got there, all I had to do was do what? Reverse the process. And so within 7-8 months, I had to come off the insulin first. Then I get off the glipizide because it was doing bad to my body. Then finally, I had to get off the metformin. I never took the blood pressure pills or the cholesterol because I know that blood pressure pills were never designed to get rid of blood pressure. It was designed to help you to maintain it, but it caused all kinds of other problems. And so we didn't use that. So we help people to get off of blood pressure pills through in a natural way and get them back into health. And so I was able to reverse this condition and started the Flatbush Diabetes Task Force, which morphed into the Island of Flatbush Diabetes Task Force. And why is that? Because Dr. Banerjee, the chief endocrinologist at SUNY downstate, discovered a new type of diabetes.
Which one is that?
It's called the Flatbush diabetes.
Flatbush. Flatbush.
All right. Okay.
That's not a good
So
thing.
I want you to Google that. Google the Flatbush. You're going to see the medical term for it is ketosis type 2 diabetes mellitus. All right. Now, type 1 diabetics do not produce insulin for their bodies. They are juvenile onset diabetes mellitus, which is insulin dependent. Because their bodies do not produce insulin, it burns fat to compensate. The burning of this fat produces a chemical in blood called ketones. Thus, you have keto diabetic, ketosis diabetic. Okay? And so this is what they die from, type 1. But the phenomenon in Flatbush is that they're finding so many people with ketosis type 2 diabetes, which is because it's in Flatbush, they call it the Flatbush diabetes. And this acidosis, ketoacidosis, is destroying the kidneys. I don't know if you've noticed how many dialysis centers that's opened up in the area.
Yes.
Because of this high levels of ketoacidosis in the body.
Right.
And thus you get this, and then you're talking about amputations. Oh, this is another thing. And so the beautiful thing about it is this: diabetes, number one, is preventable. All right. Number two, it's manageable. You can manage it effectively.
Right.
But most of all, it's reversible.
Okay.
All right. So myself, and so when we launched the task force at Borough Hall with Eric Adams in 2015, he launched it with us, Central Brooklyn Diabetes Task Force.
Mhm.
The month before, he was diagnosed with diabetes. So he started out with us with our plan, which is the third. We use three modalities. One is the CDC National Diabetes Prevention Program. It has a 60% success ratio for those who are pre-diabetics not to become diabetics if they follow the plan. That's for prevention. Then we have the Stanford University Diabetes Self-Management Program, where we help people to manage their diabetes. We just finished a class with the State Department of Health with 6 people that we trained to be lifestyle coaches in the community to be able to teach that class with that. And then my ministry, New Creation, has the 12 weeks to wellness.
Okay.
Which is helps to reverse it by lifestyle changes. And this is what Eric Adams started out with, and then he included a program with a doctor out of state. He went out, and today he's a stalwart in the city. As a matter of fact, he has just this year announced all the municipal hospitals which have what is called lifestyle clinics. Started out at Bellevue Hospital, where they're showing success with people who are following the lifestyle, plant-based nutrition and diet to come off of their conditions. And this is what we are able to present today. All right, so this is my passion. Diabetes is the main.
I have a quick question for you. The Flatbush diabetes, and I looked it up like you mentioned, that's predominantly for people living in that vicinity. Did they do
I'm not
research?
hearing her, Melvin.
You got to put on the headset. Where's the
I'm
headset?
sorry.
Is your headset right there? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about
No,
that.
that's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Oh, here we go.
That's okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Williams. So the Flatbush diabetes, I did look it up, like you said, to look it up or whatever. That's predominantly for people living in the Flatbush area. How was that determined, or did they do research in that vicinity? Something that's triggering that people living in that vicinity, Flatbush, um, develop some form of diabetes. I know you said it's much more than that, but what is it? It's just interesting that they took ownership of it, Flatbush Avenue. Why would they take ownership of something that is something that's not positive? So I want to know more about that. How did they come about in calling it a Flatbush diabetes,
All
and
right.
are they doing research in that?
All right. So Flatbush Avenue is the main avenue, just like Harlem has 125th Street. Flatbush, the main avenue is Flatbush Avenue.
Right.
But Flatbush, and when I say the island of Flatbush, I'm speaking predominantly about the largest concentration of Caribbean people anywhere in the world outside of the Caribbean.
Where's that?
The island of Flatbush, which is Flatbush, which is Flatbush, East Flatbush, parts of Crown Heights, parts of Flatlands, Canarsie, parts of Midwood, and a little piece of Brownsville. East Flatbush goes to 98th Street, right? East 98th Street. Flatbush, let's say it starts at Coney Island Avenue to East 98th.
Right.
You can say St. John's Place, right? Which is Crown Heights. And you can end it up at Avenue J. Let's say Avenue J. So Avenue J, East 98, you go down to Rockaway, and you go all the way to Seaview, come around on Flatlands and go to Kings Highway, to go all the way up to Coney Island Avenue, come back to Parkside, to Ocean to Empire. And that whole area there is what we call the island of Flatbush, predominantly West Indian. And so
So
the Caribbean,
so now it's called flatbush diabetes because there's many Caribbean folks that's there
yes, they're the
developing
predominant, yeah,
diabetes.
yep, they're the predominant
I think, John, it's not just the Caribbean. I think it's a lot of blacks, right? Because the Southern blacks especially, they act, we are intermingled, or what is it called? We have assimilated, acculturated, and cross-pollinated in our community when you look at blacks in general. Like, the Haitians are with the Jamaicans are with the Trini, the Haitians are with the American with the Barbadian, and you keep going. And I think when you look at diabetes, right?
Mhm,
Diabetes, though there are a lot of whites who have it,
mhm.
it's predominantly
Very prevalent amongst people of color.
amongst blacks, right? Of all races.
Hmm.
So whether you're type 1, and again, I guess for your explanation, type 1 is early
Children.
on stage
Mhm,
diabetes. Type 2 is developed diabetes at an generally at an older.
well, let me explain that. Type
Mhm.
1 is a genetic condition. So you have three types of diseases. You know, you have chronic disease, and you have congenital disease, and you have, of course, diseases that comes from infections,
mhm,
right? Genetic condition, which is an autoimmune condition,
Hmm. Right.
all right? A child is developed, it doesn't have an immune system, right?
Right.
It gets from the mother, from the milk, colostrum, starts them out. As they are infected with different things, their body would react to that.
mhm.
So what happened in this case, once they have this genetic trait, their immune system attacks the beta cells in the pancreas.
Mm.
And it kills the beta cells. And it could happen at months old, completely, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It's very few adults get type 1, which the pancreas stops producing insulin, right? So that is, type 1 is different. And that's why, because the body does not produce. With type 2, the body produces insulin, but they have what is called insulin resistance,
Mhm.
right? And of course, glucose intolerance.
Hmm.
And once you get these two things, and I will show you how that is formed. This is a lifestyle condition, while
Mhm.
type 1 is not really a lifestyle. It's, as I
Right.
said, a
Yes.
genetic autoimmune condition.
Mhm.
All right?
And type 1, you typically don't get as an adult, but you're saying that some adults are getting type 1 now, because I know
No,
that that's basically children, adolescents that really have type
yes, it always has been. Few people get it at teenage age or in their 20s or 30s.
1.
Some people, it takes that time for the pancreas to completely shut down, not producing insulin. It
Right.
takes that long time. So a few people will reach that particular stage. But it's important to note, and what he was saying here, in terms of the diabetes condition,
Hmm.
um, the type 2, basically, I did not. My sister and I, or my mother,
Mhm.
right, who is genetic from my grandmother, my mother, my sister and I, and other people, have the trait to actually develop it. Okay?
Mhm.
Let me tell you how that happened, because that's a lifestyle. This is important because with all this talking we're talking, I can give you all the statistics: 37.3 million people with diabetes in America, 96 million are pre-diabetic, and most of them don't know that they're diabetic,
Mhm.
and they spend over $350 billion. It's an economic crisis for the country. Okay, 1 in 4 U.S. adults
Mhm.
with diabetes. So it's a devastating condition when it comes to all the amount of job loss or not out of work because of that. It's an economic crisis. And so to tell you um, how it actually comes about, okay? Some people say it's too much sweet. Some people say it's too much, but I would say, in a sense, is too much greasy foods. And when we talk about the West Indian population, you got to understand, we are people with high consumptions of carbohydrates.
Yeah.
So
Right, it's
I'm
roti,
gonna pause you for a second.
right, you know.
No, so that's what I was about to tell. That's what I was about to say.
Yes.
I'm a believe. You know, I went to the doctor, my PCP, less than a month ago, and he told me something that I didn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I brought it up before on the show that milk has lactose in it and belongs to the OS family, like glucose, fructose, sucrose, and some other oses that are sugar related, which I didn't even know. So it actually affect my sugar elevation, which I didn't know that, but not at the great level as glucose, not at the great level as fructose, which is pure sugar, right? Pure simple sugars, or you know, and we're so people. So first, let me just, unless you want to do that, but give a little background. Carbohydrates are complex sugars. So sometimes we think, like when you drink juices, you automatically know it has sugar in it.
No one calls it.
Right? So we don't know about the complex sugar. So the body uses up the simple sugars, which I'm just gonna call them simple sugars for scientific purposes. Right? As you're a scientist, you're gonna correct me and say they're not simple sugars, they're not this and that. But sugar. You put sugar in the tea. The granulated sugar, the sugar cane, the brown sugar, this sugar, you put it in the tea, right?
Yes.
And you know right away that's sugar. Oh, I'm going to stay away from that. But then you don't stay away from pasta. You don't stay away from rice. You don't stay away from bread. Yeah, and certain other things that are complex sugar. And then the other thing that I also found out is, like, you know, you have unused energy, your body can't use it. Right? So you put all these things into your body that can affect your pancreas, your insulin take, your body's ability to break these things down. Now remember, carbohydrates are so for simple terms, they're complex sugars. Right?
Well,
right? So they're not. That's what I just want to make sure. When I say to people, I'm telling them in a way that says that it's like long lasting. Right, versus simple sugars, which are quick.
Right. And so you have. Okay, so remember we said the three things responsible for life: oxygen, nutrients, and remember, just to show you, to get the third, it's important to you to understand why the third, because for you to understand how these elements become our enemy and cause death, we have to understand how they're affecting you. So let's look at us. All humans are structured in 7 levels. Number 7 is important. First, we are an atom. Second, we are a molecule. Third, we are cells. Fourth, we are tissue. Fifth, we are organs. Sixth, we are organ systems. And 7, we are the organism. The center of that, always number 3, right? The third level, which is the cellular level, is where we function. Everything. We are over 100 trillion cells. And every cell is a powerhouse, is working. That's where we get in. So the oxygen and the nutrients must get into the cells. And in the cells, there are bodies. The main body is called the mitochondria, or the manufacturing plants. It takes the oxygen, the nutrients, and manufacture or metabolize, that's the word, to produce ATP, which is adenyl triphosphate, the fancy word for energy. So that's how we get life, energy. And we get it from oxygen and nutrients. The nutrients and the oxygens cannot get into the cells unless it's broken down in its molecular form. And for it to do that, it needs enzymes. So the enzymes is the third factor. It's important for it to get it. Now, this is how diseases form. So within there, as you know, in every manufacturing plant, there is a chimney. Is that right? Every man has a chimney. What's a chimney for? In the manufacturing process, it produces waste. Manufactured waste must come out. So that's why you have the global warming, have all this stuff going on now. because of all of the waste from these manufacturing and all this stuff going on. Well, the same thing with the cells. When it manufactures energy, ATP, it also produces metabolic waste. That metabolic waste must come out. And so the same way how it needs 3 elements to get it in to produce, it needs 3 elements to get it out. The first thing is called SOD, or superoxide dismutase. It's an enzyme. It's called what's called redox signaling molecule. Because the oxygen produces more oxidation. That's why you heard of this word antioxidants, right? But if you do not get rid of the oxidation within the cells, it causes oxidative stress. Cells do 3 things, and number again, 3 things. Cells protect, cells repair, and cells replace. So to protect, it needs SOD. If it cannot protect, it's now going to start to repair. And so what happens within there, inflammation is produced to help to correct the situation.
Right.
And because it's an amazing amount of things happening all the time, it's producing too much what? Inflammation. And therefore, you need another enzyme to get it out, and that is called glutathione. So you're going to Google that word, glutathione. If you don't have enough glutathione and you can't repair it, it has to be replaced. And so you're going to need the other enzyme there. It's called catalase, which is something called apoptosis, or natural cell death. The cell has to die and replace. If it cannot, then what happens? The cell mutates. And when it mutates, you get all these tumors forming, and they're cancerous. So all of us have cancerous cells, all of us. But based on your lifestyle and based on the environment that you're in, it could either stay benign or become malignant. And thus you have this cancer because the cells cannot die. And so they have to try to kill those cells. And so there are natural ways that you see when people get cancer, it's not a death sentence. People can know that, and you know that. So it, once you know the right thing, you can know how to manipulate that, the antioxidants and the stuff to really get the body back in place. And so that's how the disease is formed when you don't have those 3 things. Okay, now
So Ray, I'm getting some questions here, but I want to, because some of the stuff that you're saying makes sense, but it also is going over some of my audience's head. Right? Because you're using these words up there that if you're not a biochemist,
not really.
right? If you're not, right, or you haven't studied the field, you go ATPase, catalase, all the different ACEs and the
enzyme.
cells.
Anything with ACEs is enzyme.
No, I know. But I'm scientific, so I know that. Right. But it's interesting. So I want to get down to nitty gritty about what you're talking about. Let's talk about diabetes. We're talking about diabetes. I like the fact that you bring certain things up, and because you talk so fast, you talk over exactly what you're saying. 1 in 4 Americans are diabetic or pre-diabetic, right? Pre-diabetic, ladies and gentlemen. In a layman's term, when you go to the doctor, your diabetes is supposed to be between 80. Your glucose level is supposed to be between 80 and 120. That's normal range. Obviously, close to 180, it's low. Close to 120, it's high. Right? So that's the easy way to put it. I don't want to make it's not so simple, but we want to make it easy for you.
Yeah.
If you hit 130, they're going to tell you that you're pre-diabetic. That's what that means. Okay, so anytime they tell you you're pre-diabetic, it's 130. You hit 150, you're diabetic.
Right.
Your A1C, go past 7, you're diabetic. That's what it means. Between 5 and 7, it's reversible depending on what you do almost immediately. The higher it goes, the more complicated it becomes. That's all I need to do. So everything John is saying to you in a layman's term, that's all he's saying. But he's speaking from the sign of a doctor, you go, let me take out my Google and start doing stuff. So let's talk about somebody at the pre-diabetic stage, right? What are some things that you would recommend to somebody who is pre-diabetic? Let's talk about that.
All right.
Let's
so,
start with pre-diabetic
yeah.
before we get to somebody who's full-blown diabetes.
Okay, so the only reason why I brought that little biology study up is to show how it started, how we got it. So you understand that life is in the cells, all right? And so we know that it's the cells where everything happens, okay? That we have to get the food and nutrients in every cell. And it has to be nutrients. So when you talk about the nutrients, these are the nutrients. There are 6. There's protein, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals, water. Okay? But of those, only 3 are the ones that produce the energy for us to have life. It's protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Vitamins and minerals are coenzymes and cofactors. They work with the nutrient to manufacture the energy that is happening. You understand? So understand that. Now, here is it now with diabetics. They tell us that when we eat, we must chew our foods.
Right.
Remember that, right? Why? Because when we chew our foods, in our salivary glands, they produce what is called salivary amylase.
Start with that again.
And now here, I think the breakdown. Everybody needs to know that. Not every. I don't care how.
Trust me.
Wait,
John, I'm gonna argue with you all day. The average person. Wait. Hold on. The average person. I'm telling you front. The average person want to know it produces an enzyme.
All right.
It produces.
So forget the name.
All right.
Forget the name. Salivary, because it comes from the saliva glands, and it comes when you chew. It produces that.
Right.
That's important to know. So, if you are eating foods that are not whole grain or whole seeds, nuts, grains, everything, it's processed. You don't chew properly, you swallow. Right?
Makes sense.
Now, that enzyme is what starts to break down the sugar. Remember, carbohydrates are 2 forms. There's carbohydrates and there's complex carbohydrates. Okay, you get carbohydrates from almost anything, beans, nut, all these things you can get carbohydrates from. But the complex carbohydrates are like your potatoes and you understand, and your pasta, your bread, and these different things. You get complex carbohydrates that turns to sugar. That enzyme, when you chew, it goes down the esophagus to the stomach. In the stomach, you have hydrochloric acid. That breaks it down.
Right.
Now, breaks it down before it gets to the first part of the small intestine, a little piece that is called the duodenum. All right? Fancy word, duodenum. That part, you have a gland, a duct coming from your liver, a duct. It's called a common bile duct. Comes to that part of the intestine. And from the pancreas, you have the pancreatic duct that comes to that part. The pancreatic duct brings the insulin and it brings protease, the enzyme for proteins, and the liver common bile duct brings bile salts to break down the fat. Those 3 things: fat, carbohydrates, proteins. All right? If that food that you didn't chew didn't get enough of that enzyme and mixes with that acid in your stomach, it becomes super sweet. So that when it's sent to the small intestine, it is so sweet that the pancreas is shocked. It says, oh, I got to send a lot of insulin here to help to break that down. So it's sending insulin like crazy. And you just keep doing that in your lifestyle, eating without chewing properly or eating empty calorie foods, so much too sweet. What happens? Then you produce what is called insulin resistance, right? And the insulin now is the cells, which the nutrients got to go in to produce the energy, cannot get because there is what is called glucose intolerance. Because remember, sugar has to be broken down to a molecular form, which is called glucose. And the glucose is what is manufactured to produce the energy. Right? It's called glycolysis, right? Produce that energy. If the cells does not recognize the glucose coming in, the sugar stays where? In the blood. And thus you have what? Diabetes.
Yeah.
So if you're not chewing properly, that's where it starts.
You know what? I also want to add there's certain mistakes that we make that we don't know that automatically, like food, you
Yes.
automatically put certain food in the refrigerator that should not be put in the refrigerator automatically. When you take potatoes and you put it in the refrigerator, that's sugar. That's pure. It turned into sugar 100%. So instead of thinking that you're having regular potatoes, that's why it's important for you to leave out your potatoes because once you put it in the sugar, once you put it in the fridge, it turned into sugar. Even though you boiling it or whatever, you're eating sugar. Point blank. So there's certain mistakes that are made from not knowing certain ways to preserve food. And that contributes to that as well.
So John, we have a few minutes left, and I don't want that. Let's talk about some levels. It's sometimes I hope the doctor doesn't always explain it like that, right? It's good to have that explanation for people to know from start to finish, right? From start, this is where it starts. This is what it looks like. This is what the effects are. Let's talk about some simple things that somebody can take, simple things that people can eat. Maybe you could talk about maybe a simple meal, like a simple breakfast, a simple lunch, a simple dinner, and ways for people to connect, right, with New Creation Ministries about information about that. So tell us a little bit, like what would something that people can do? What is something that people need to maybe that they might not be doing already? A, cut out. B, add. The same way you used to do this, right? The same way you used to do this instead, and the same way you used to do this instead, you can do that.
All right, let's go. So you need to, and I wish if folk would have you had this and they would have had a pen and paper to put make a list of things. Okay. So remember, so my sugar was 574, and my hemoglobin A1C was 12.8, right? So the principles here, I'm going to give you 5 principles. All right. Number 1, in all healing, the number one I would say element for healing is water. Okay, so water is the number one principle in my work. In all 53 years of my working in public health, naturopathic practice and everything, my number one healing agent is water. Why is that? Because we are mostly water, right? We are 2/3 water or 3/4 in weight water. Okay? When I say water, it's important to note clean water, H2O. Clean water. And so the first thing I'm going
As
to
a matter
tell
of fact, on that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a shot. Yeah. Cheers.
All right.
Yeah, I should go and get mine, you know.
Okay. So,
but what about this alkaline?
It's important. It's important to
water?
note. Okay, so let me. This is very important. Please just say this. People, as you said, what you must avoid, what you must take away, and what you must add, what you must do. So let's do that. I want everyone to hear this and take this away. Stop, if you are, drinking tap water. That contributes major to your health condition. Tap water. They say New York water is the best water, is the best tasting water. Why? Because it comes directly from the reservoir, from the reservoirs, unfiltered, right? Straight through a big, gigantic aqueducts coming in. The only place that New York had to be filtered is the Croton water fountain system in Westchester. That one has to be filtered, all right, because of the city stuff and all of that, all kinds of runoff things and all of that, okay? But the water, why do you think they have all these testing stuff? You see those testing stuff that have around the city? They test the water, which is infected or whatever, they add more what? Chlorine. All right? New York water, it's added fluoride. Chlorine is a poison. Fluoride is a poison. Then, for the pipes not to rust, they have to alkalize the water slightly to make it alkaline slightly, because the more water is acid, and that's what causes rust. So they add sometimes you lose your train of thought there, right? They add a chemical to the water to make it slightly alkaline, neutral to slightly alkaline. Okay, that also is poison. Okay, then you have all kinds of other runoffs. There's lead. There's all kinds of stuff in the water.
Right.
You don't want to drink the tap water. So every household, the number one, every household should buy themselves a filter. You can get a simple granulated activated charcoal filter and filter it for your family. And even I would say the federal government says 2/3 of the bottled water is simple tap water.
Like even the water from the refrigerator, the water from the refrigerator is filtered.
You have some filter in there. That would be okay.
Okay.
All right. Now, as Rudy just said, if you want to add to your water but to make it a little bit more medicinal and more therapeutic, then you want to alkalize it. So you can literally ionize the water to make it alkalizing water, and that would be good. Okay, so water is the first thing. So here's the recipe. The first thing on rising every morning, first thing on rising, after you wake up, wash your mouth, whatever, stuff like that, you want to drink 2 to 3 glasses of hot water. That's the principle, the first principle. Hot water. Now, hot is not where you got to sip it. Hot on the temperature scale is 95 to 98 degrees Fahrenheit, which is body temperature. So drinking hot water is neutral to the body.
That's what they say, drink room temperature water.
No. Room temperature water, no.
Room temperature meaning bottled water?
Yeah, you could drink plain water. I'm talking about the therapy that I am giving for the morning.
Okay.
Throughout the day, you want to do that.
Okay.
But your first water must be hot. A little hotter than lukewarm.
Okay.
Because lukewarm is nasty. I didn't say that. Jesus said that. He says, he prefers you to be hot or cold and not lukewarm.
Okay.
All right, you spew out your mouth. You want to vomit, right?
Right.
Okay, so what happens is this. When you sleep, you fast. That's why your first meal is called break the fast. Okay?
Break the fast.
All right, so when you...
I like that. I never thought about that.
When you fast, your body detoxifies itself. That's why sleep and rest is important. Your organs regenerate itself by throwing off the toxins in the body.
Right.
Okay? That's why you get up in the morning, you must have an acid urine. Must be fraught. Must be, because those are the toxins, the acid that is going out. When you wake up, you don't want to talk. You're all kind of boo-boo and white corner coming out, coming out because toxins come up. So when you drink the hot water, you want to drink it straight down. You don't want to sip. Straight down. As it goes straight to the colon. It doesn't hang out in the stomach once it is the right temperature. You understand? And when it's doing that, it's pulling the toxins down to the alimentary canal. And thus you have a detoxification every morning. Your body is going to be hydrated. When you do that 2 to 3. Volume is important. Temperature is important. All right? That's the first principle. The second principle is make your foods. According to Socrates, which is in 1,000 years ago, he said, let foods be your medicine and medicine be your foods. Not food stuff, foods. So your food should be 60 to 70% raw. All right, that's the other principle. Now that's very simple. All you need is a tossed salad. You understand? Everything, carrots. I can show you pictures. I'll show you in time to come. Everything, all the leafy vegetables, kale, mustard, spinach, all the green leaves and stuff, carrots, celery, all the, everything you can put in there, right? And you can add some legumes like, kidney beans or chickpeas or whatever, add there and sprouts, the bean sprouts and stuff. and you make a salad and you get a nice dressing that's nice, and you get a big bowl, good bowl of salad every day, regardless of what you eat. Number one, it's filling, it's to fill you up. Number two, it gives you all your vitamins and minerals raw. And, so you eat a regular meal, so you want to stay away, let's say 90 days. I want you to do this for 90 days. Come off of red meats. Minimize your white flesh, your chicken and fish. Not, I won't say white flesh because pork is white. All right. So if you want to calmly get away into not a vegan, I would say vegan, but plant-based, graduate yourself a little away from fish and chicken, right? Maybe once or whatever, steam it and stuff. But your big thing should be a salad, your fruits, and your fruits, okay? You do that, right? Then, it don't matter how powerful you eat in fruits and vegetables and all that, everyone needs to supplement their food because you don't get foods today that are produced.
What do you supplement it with?
Your vitamins and your minerals. So everybody is a big market out there, but lots of these vitamins and market, I would say 90-something% of it is useless. Okay. Because you take it in and it goes right into the toilet. Right? And a lot of it, you don't know how to manage it. So it's important to get things that are standardized and know who they're coming from, what the companies and all. And that's what we do. As our ministry, we find all these different products in the market. For 43 years I've been doing this, I know. Today I have something called Live Good. All right? I send you that. Look at them.
We don't have that much time. We only have 1 minute. So if you could sum it up quick, I'm sorry.
That's all right. So the next time I come, I'm going to give you the rest of things that are very important. The other thing that is important, I must tell people, is to measure yourself. Know your number. Remember I said, if you know how you got there, you know how to get back. So if you are testing yourself, you need to record it. And so what I brought, I've got myself in partnership with an outfit called Doral Health. It's a glucose monitoring system that is like a cell phone. It's connected to your PCP or your family, or somebody will tell you and guide you every day as you take your glucose test.
Yeah.
You know where you are, and we will work with you. Then we have the blood pressure test machine that is also a cellular. It's connected to your PCP or whatever. Every time you take the test, they will know, and they will advise you to what. You'll be able to advise you and following with that, okay? So it's called remote patient monitoring. Once you get to that, we will use to get you that for free.
I want to just take this time to diligently impart some very important knowledge this evening. We want to make sure we follow up with that because diabetes is one of the diseases that have really impacted
our community.
And that's to say that the Flatbush disease that we talk about. Parting words, Dr. Byron, ladies first.
I want to say thank you to all our listeners for listening this whole year from January to now, December. As we closed off the year, we want to thank God for a healthy passage and for our listeners, good health, good life. Take time to reflect on this year. It might go up and down, but you have life. So remember that you have another day to do it again and keep pushing. Remember, like Roderick says, do something about it. Don't just sit around. Like our doctor came on, Mr. Williams, he's educating us. Go around, share your knowledge, share your wealth, and spread the love. Thank you. Be safe.
God bless. John?
Since Dr. Brian took up all the time, I just want to wish the villagers a happy, healthy New Year. But always remember, take life one day at a time. And just because it's a new year doesn't mean that you have to make all these resolutions. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Just remember, take life one day at a time. Have your vision. Tomorrow is not promised to us. That's what we need to live for today.
All right, Minister Williams, I'll just give you 1 second, 10 seconds, because you're here with us. Did you get that one little word?
Well, I always like to connect. Most of my time will be spent in giving people solutions. All right. and we have the solutions. All right, we've got hundreds of people who have been helped. I would like you to reach out to to the village and get information on how you can acquire these monitors, vital blood pressure, glucose testing, and we also have a scale because we had the most deaths in the world from COVID, and the three underlying conditions that cause those deaths are diabetes, blood pressure, and obesity.
Mhm.
So we deal with that. So we have the blood pressure machine, we have the diabetes testing, and we have a scale that also monitors with your BP and tells you what it is. You can get all of those if you have Medicaid, Medicare, or whatever insurance, you get them. So contact the village, you'll be able to get them. And I want you to learn about Live Good. It's a company that focuses on inexpensive good stuff. In other words, they use Costco's, Sam's Club, or BJ's system to get the stuff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right,
Yeah.
just reach out to the village and those things. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming in a new year. Great holiday, happy holiday. Hopefully enjoy it. Start taking care of your health because without your health, you have no life. Let's
Mhm.
just remember that whatever health it is, Dr. Bryant, always mental health first. And remember, it's mind, body, and soul. We want to thank you for watching, sharing, viewing, subscribing to our Village Radio Talk Show, where we're brought to you by the Social Club and by the Single Parent University. I want to thank each and every one of you. God bless. And continue next year to bring a friend along to watch the Village on Thursdays from 7 to 9:15 p.m. God bless
Happy
each and
New
every one of
Year.
you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And happy Kwanzaa. Today's
Happy Kwanzaa,
Ujamaa,
yes.
day 4. And tomorrow we'll also celebrate another day. Enjoy, everyone.
And thank you to our producers. So
Definitely.
Andre,
Sophie,
yeah.
Andre. Happy New Year.
Thank you to Bishop Harding as well for having us on
Definitely.
GD
Big thanks to
Radio
Bishop.
as
Big
well.
thanks to Bishop. Thank you.
All right, God bless. Andre, take us away. Oh, Andre's not here to close us off tonight, so I'm going to close. Good night, all.
good night.
Good night.